Thank you. Marco Valli.
Sì, grazie Presidente. Ho tre domande per lei. La prima riguarda il quantitative easing. Ovviamente voi, come avete già detto, dovete seguire il trattato e quindi cercare di mantenere un livello di inflazione intorno al 2%. Ecco, quello che mi chiedo io, al netto del fatto che l'inflazione core comunque rimane ancora molto bassa e lontana da questi parametri, è possibile che il quantitative easing comunque necessiti anche una durata superiore e anche oltre il 2018 come data che appunto è stata destinata, proprio se non dovessero essere raggiunti i target? Vorrei che mi desse un'altra conferma su quello che comunque già ripetuto più volte. Poi l'uscita che ha avuto il Presidente della Commissione Juncker giovedì scorso sull'Italia è stata abbastanza infelice, ma ha mostrato una debolezza, che è quella che i titoli di Stato della periferia dell'Eurozona possono essere aggrediti ancora dalla speculazione. Ci sono delle proposte sul tavolo, una tra cui sono questi European Safe Bond, ma quello che le chiedo io, non sarebbe meglio ambire direttamente uno strumento di condivisione del rischio dei debiti sovrani invece che mettere in piedi questi sistemi di cartolarizzazione dei debiti senza condivisione dei rischi, che poi presuppongono altri rischi? E terzo, se non ritiene che oggi gli asset illiquidi di secondo e terzo livello siano adeguatamente coperti con capitale dalle banche, e se non crede che si debba fare qualcosa di più su questo tema per evitare appunto rischi sistemici. Grazie.
Thank you. So let me first answer the first question. The possible extensions of QE have not been discussed by the Governing Council. What I've been saying even in my introductory statement is that in the presence of a situation, economic situation that is improving constantly, we need the right blend of three features. We're generally more confident that our inflation is proceeding towards our objective, but we also have to be persistent and patient, because the underlying inflation has not shown any convincing sign of an upward tick, and because headline inflation is still not within our objective. And that is going to be really the key measure of our monetary policy in the coming months. Let's not forget that our monetary policy is now produced, the effects of our monetary policy are now being produced by a combination of several measures. One is certainly the net asset purchases, but the other one is the considerable stock of assets that have been accumulated by the ECB in these years of purchases. Also, the ECB has said, the Governing Council has said that it will keep on reinvesting the bonds that come to maturity for an extended period of time after the end of the net purchase of the purchase program. And finally, let me also say that the guidance on interest rates is very important. It's very, very important. And the well past after the end of the asset purchases is also a key concept of our monetary policy stance. The second question relates really to long-term developments of our union, namely the fiscal convergence and the creation of one bond that is safe. We've commented on that for now several times, but especially when the crisis seemed to be was in the most difficult time. I remember at that time many questions were around this point. Shouldn't have more solidarity in the union so as to make countries able to survive the crisis better. Now, solidarity comes with responsibility, and responsibility means convergence of economic policies, convergence of economic structures, and convergence towards the best practices as far as institutions are concerned. That's probably the most important type of convergence. And that is, and convergence by itself will generate that trust that is necessary to have one common asset and one safe and common asset. The third question, we certainly believe that capital is adequate against these risks, and in any event, the ECB has launched now a program towards an extensive, intrusive assessment of the internal rating models that are used to price asset with levels 2 and 3, level 2 and 3 assets. And it's on its way, and this year should take off the ground. Thank you.
Good. This Parliament has been recommending this for a long time. Barbara Kappel.
Danke, Herr Vorsitzender. Herr Präsident Draghi, vielen Dank, dass Sie trotz dieser Schwierigkeiten noch zu uns gekommen sind heute in den Ausschuss. Ich würde mich gerne in meiner Frage oder in meinen Fragen auf den Themenkreis der Non-Performing Loans konzentrieren wollen. Sie kennen den aktuellen Fortschrittsbericht der Kommission über den NPL-Abbau, der grundsätzlich positiv ist. Es ist ein Gesamtvolumen noch von 950 Milliarden Euro an NPLs gegeben. Die Tendenz ist jedoch abnehmend. Das Volumen ist immer noch hoch, aber was besonders erdrückend ist, finde ich, sind die unterschiedlichen NPL-Quoten zwischen den Mitgliedstaaten, die nämlich von 0,7% bis 46,9% reichen. Ihr Haus hat nun für neue NPLs eine Ergänzung zum EZB-Leitfaden herausgegeben, wo also insbesondere die quantitativen Erwartungen der Aufsicht in Bezug auf ein Mindestmaß an aufsichtsrechtlicher Risikovorsorge neu bewertet werden, also wie lange ein Kredit notleidend ist, Umfang und Bewertung der Sicherheit. Für die alten NPLs soll es bis Ende des ersten Quartals 2018 einen Maßnahmenkatalog geben, der von Ihrem Haus, von der Aufsicht zur Verfügung gestellt wird. Und um auf die fehlende oder mangelnde Konvergenz einzugehen, Italien und Griechenland sind natürlich die größeren Problemstellungen, obwohl Italien sehr viel getan hat im letzten Jahr für eine Stabilisierung des Sektors und auch in diesem Jahr noch einige Maßnahmen setzen wird, zum Beispiel mit der Zusammenlegung der Genossenschaftsbanken. Und Griechenland, es wurde angesprochen, auch hier gibt es von der Bank of Greece im Jänner eine veröffentlichte Überprüfung, die den Bankensektor auffordert, noch more ambitious zu sein in Bezug auf die Einführung neuer Rechnungslegungsmodelle und strengerer Risikopositionen. Und ich möchte Sie deshalb gern fragen, wie Sie jetzt im Lichte dieser Ergänzungen, nämlich zu den Leitlinien, den aktuellen Stand sehen in Bezug auf die Banken, was in Bezug auf die Maßnahmen, die am Ende des ersten Quartals vorgeschlagen werden für die Bewältigung der NPL-Probleme, wie Sie die an dieser Stelle bewerten und wie Sie die Situation in Italien und auch die Situation in Griechenland einschätzen.
Let me first say that the case for tackling NPLs in a determined manner is clear. The NPLs weigh on the balance sheet of banks, and there is evidence that, plenty of evidence, that banks with high stocks of NPLs have consistently given less credit to the private sector and to the economy than banks with better credit quality, with the low levels of NPLs. Therefore, the banks with high NPLs mean less support to firms and households, harming growth. Now, also the recovery is faster if the level of NPLs is lower. And however, one should observe that NPLs in many cases are they themselves the effect of a protracted recession. So the improvement in economic conditions goes hand in hand with the lowering of the level of NPLs. And as you were saying, in the countries you mentioned, but also in other countries, NPLs have gone down considerably, and the level of provisioning has also increased. Capital solvency, the profitability of the banking system has improved. So now we also have a Commission proposal to address NPLs under Pillar 1, and we certainly welcome this proposal that's now for consultation. This proposal is about the introduction of a statutory prudential backstops for minimum level of provisions for newly originated NPLs, so-called automatic Pillar 1 rules. But this is different from our addendum. The two documents are different. The addendum expresses supervisory expectations as a starting point for a supervisory dialogue to assess risks to which an individual institution is or might be exposed. In contrast to the addendum, the statutory provisioning backstop presented by the Commission is a binding requirement, and it does apply automatically to all institutions. The supervisor is obliged to assess the bank's individual risk profile and the adequateness of the provisioning for these risks. So this means that if the accounting provisions and the legal requirement for prudential provisions treat all risks related to the NPLs in an individual institution, then a supervisory dialogue based on the addendum would show no remaining risks, and there will be no room for Pillar 2 measures. On the other hand, if the first two conditions aren't verified, then the addendum comes in and becomes relevant. So the two initiatives really complement each other. Thank you.
Thank you. Of course, it would be good that the expectation would be aligned with the statutory requirement, because if it would be different in terms of years or curve, would be a bit confusing, I guess, for supervisory entities. But now we have, unfortunately, to merge a group of speakers, because we have to conclude by maximum 5:25, because we have to perform our, let's say, constitutional duty with the hearing of the candidate to the vice presidents of the ECB, and then we have interpretation which will be will finish. So we need to conclude by 5:25. This means that now I will ask a group of colleagues to make their question for 1 minute. First, Mr. Gabriel Mato.
Sí, gracias, presidente. Hace escasos días tuvimos la oportunidad de debatir el informe anual del Banco Central Europeo, y yo creo que quedó muy claro que la posición, el papel que ha jugado el banco ha sido muy importante para la recuperación económica, pero que no solo la política monetaria basta para lograr una recuperación económica sostenible y más equilibrada. Y, por tanto, hay que ir en un escenario de retirada de estímulos monetarios, cómo se pueden fomentar esas reformas necesarias. Y una cuestión que se ha venido a llamar la guerra de divisas, de la que algunos miembros del Consejo de Gobierno del BCE han mostrado ya su preocupación. Me gustaría saber qué opinión le merece esta situación y en qué posibles medidas están estudiando para ver qué se puede esperar de las mismas y cómo se puede afrontar esta situación. Muchas gracias.
Thank you. Jonas Fernández.
Sí, buenas tardes, presidente. Dos preguntas telegráficas. La primera de ellas hace referencia a la posibilidad de usar los beneficios del BCE como recurso propio de la Unión Europea. Como usted sabe, esa posibilidad está dentro del informe de Monti, se ha recogido en el informe del BCE aprobado recientemente. Incluso la Comisión Europea ha introducido esta posibilidad dentro de sus esquemas presupuestarios para los próximos años. Además, el Servicio Legal del Parlamento Europeo ha afirmado que esta reforma puede realizarse sin un cambio agravado en los tratados, y siendo consciente de que para impulsar esta reforma en el seno del presupuesto de la zona euro necesitamos una mayoría política que así lo desee. Es verdad que el BCE ha hecho declaraciones en favor de otras iniciativas también conducentes a mejorar la integración de la zona euro, y me gustaría saber su opinión. Muchas gracias.
Thank you. Tom van den Kenderlare.
Dank u wel, meneer de voorzitter, om bij ons te zijn vanmiddag. Eind vorige week heeft de Nationale Bank van België haar jaarverslag voor 2017 voorgesteld. En een van de bezorgdheden was de evolutie van de woningmarkt in België. Zo lenen vandaag 5 op de 10 Belgen meer dan 80% van de waarde van hun aangekochte woning. Banken zijn te soepel geworden in hun woonkredieten, zo merken we. En daarom zullen die Belgische banken verplicht worden een extra kapitaalbuffer aan te leggen van 1,5 miljard euro. Hoe risicovoller de hypotheekportefeuille, hoe groter de buffer die moet aangelegd worden. Hier dan ook mijn vraag. Deelt u deze bezorgdheid en zal u als ECB deze maatregel goedkeuren zoals de procedure voorschrijft? Zullen hier ook maatregelen op Europees niveau volgen om dit aan banden te leggen? Dank u.
Thank you. Jacob van Weizsäcker.
Thank you, Chair. President Draghi, I have two questions for you. The first is about CCPs. And you made the case why the ECB needs to be involved. And I share the notion that a central bank needs to be involved in this. But the question is, what should, if in the future, which I think we urgently need to do, we pool supervision in one European agency, say ESMA, and in addition there's the European Central Bank, on which matters, both pertaining to decisions inside the Union, but also externally, you have swap agreements, so on, in which areas should the ECB have the hat on, and in which area should ESMA or another sort of fully single European supervisor have that hat on? Because I think there's a little bit confusion in that debate, and I would be very keen to get a more precision from your part in where you think you should have the hat on and where others should take the lead. Thank you.
Thank you. Georgios Kyrtsos.
Thank you, Chairman. Two questions for President Draghi. In Greece, we need an inflation rate as close as possible to 2% in order, among other things, to be helped in managing our huge debt. Unfortunately, inflation in January was negative on an annual basis in Greece. This happened for the first time since the end of 2016. So has the ECB analyzed the inflation situation in Greece? Are there any ideas how we can be helped to increase our inflation rate towards 2%? And the other thing has to do with electronic auctions. I believe that electronic auctions will start in several weeks, which is a positive evolution. But I don't think that the situation will be easily normalized because there are radical left-wing groups and what used to be the left wing of the governing Syriza party that run
you
after...
should conclude, sorry.
Yes, run after notaries, etc. So have you allowed for a transitional period, or do you expect performance? It's one thing starting the process, another thing performing well,
Okay,
so we need a transitional period. Thank you.
Paul Tang.
Thank you, Chair. And on sustainable finance, we can expect an action plan by the European Commission where there's an initiative in this House. And I wonder what the role of the ECB is. If you look at the corporate bond purchases, it mainly goes to manufacturing and gas and oil production, meaning that about 60% of the bond purchases goes to these sectors, which leads to more than 60% of the CO2 emissions for the Eurozone economy, where it only amounts to 18% of the value added. This is done by a study, shown by a study, among others, by the LSE. So, does the ECB consider its role in sustainable finance? Do you take into account the impact of the bond purchases on climate? And are you willing to be more open and public about this?